Okay, hello everybody. Good evening and welcome. Come on, we can do better than that. Good evening, everybody. Evening. That's more like it. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being pretty much on time. I mean, that's the first for us, which is good. On behalf of the UDEN committee, welcome to this special meeting all about starting a digital business in Utah. We're here at the Holodeck, which for those of you that haven't been here before, this is an incubator for business startups. If you've seen Silicon Valley's HBO, it's like that, but without Ehrlich Bachman. So not only are Holodeck graciously hosting us tonight, but they've also got some very attractive rates for anyone who tonight says they want to start up a business and are looking for a place to begin that work. Our food sponsor tonight is WildWorks, a local company that's grown from a startup to a remarkable business with studios on 2 continents. And they've provided special startup food tonight. So the only thing missing is some ramen noodles. But we figured you'll have to get used to buying those yourselves. So please, let's hear it for our sponsors, Holodeck and WildWorks. All right. So out of interest, how many people here are already thinking of starting a new company themselves? That's pretty good going. And how many people might be interested in joining a startup if it were the right opportunity? Pretty good. And how many people have no interest in starting up but are just here for the food? Okay, there's some honesty there. That's good. So here's tonight's agenda. We're going to introduce you to our expert panel, and they'll give you their thoughts on starting a business here. And then we'll open it to your questions. So really, we want to devote most of the time tonight to your questions. So I'm sure if you're seriously thinking about doing this, either for yourselves or maybe joining somebody else's startup, there should be a lot of considerations that you'll have, a lot of questions. So please, these are the people with answers for you. They've all been through this, they've done it. So please make sure you ask those questions. And then, once we've had the panel discussion, I'll be back to say a few words about our next meeting, which kind of follows on from this one, and it's about how you finance your projects. And then we're going to invite you all to stick around and network with everyone else here, because maybe you want to ask more questions of our panelists, kind of one-on-one. Perhaps you'd like to talk to Dan or John, 2 of our panelists, about the discounts that they can offer on office space or accounting services. And perhaps most importantly, you can find those other people here that are also interested in starting up so that you don't have to do it alone. Now, our regular members know that it's our goal to create a community of the creators of digital entertainment here in the state. It's completely free, and we're all volunteers. We'd like to invite all of those of you who are new to our meetings to come to our meetings on a regular basis so that we can build that community. Build a good community of digital content creators, because we believe that's how we get a good long-term business here. So it's not just at risk of one company employing everybody, and if that company goes away, there's a problem. Networking is a key part of each UDEN meeting. So again, in this room, like at every UDEN meeting, we have all of the skills, all of the services, all of the expertise that we could ever want to make award-winning digital entertainment. It's just it might not all be in the same place. So other than when we get together. So at the end of tonight's meeting, please do make a point of going up to the other people here, and no need to be shy. And I'll be giving you special keywords that you can use to help break that ice, just in case you'll need it. And it's through that networking that we build community. So that's really why we do it. So with that said, let's move on to the reason why we're all here tonight. Our 7 panelists tonight are all experts when it comes to starting up in Utah. They've done it. They know the highs and the lows, and they'll be sharing both with you tonight. They volunteered tonight in order that they could help others in this community decide if starting up is right for them. And we hope at the end of tonight's panel, you'll have a good understanding of what is involved, and perhaps will have inspired a few more of you to take that plunge. I'll turn things over now to Jeff Peters, who is our moderator this evening. But first, please join me in welcoming the panel. The panel.
All right. So there's 2 mics behind you guys on the table. And as we get to questions, please take those 2 mics and pass them down to the 2 halves. I want to say thanks to the panel here for contributing tonight, all of the talent and experience to help give back to the community here. And thanks everybody for showing up to listen to some of this as well. So first order of business is introductions. I'll kick things off, and then we'll go down so everybody can introduce themselves and talk about your tenure and what you've done in terms of digital entertainment and background. My name's Jeff Peters. I've been in the video game industry for over 25 years now, and have started multiple companies in that time frame. Recently, I was also with Electronic Arts for almost 10 years and helped build the Electronic Arts studio here in the Valley. At the moment, I am part of the committee here with UDEN, helping to build, what everybody's doing here tonight. I've also taught up at the University of Utah, a class on the business of video games, do a lot of consulting with entertainment-based companies, and have my own digital publishing company called Tapstar. Thanks. You can pick up a mic behind you.
All right. Thanks, UDEN, for having me. My name's Stephen Walter. I, other than being an avid gamer, have never done anything in the digital arts. I'm not a creator. I'm not an entrepreneur. They have to work way too hard. I'm just not willing to do that. But I get to work with them. So I'm an attorney at the law firm of Shumway Van. I run the venture capital practice there. I work with obviously mostly software startups around the Valley, helping them get going, hire their first people, make their first contracts, help them with their intellectual property. And my main focus is actually helping them raise venture capital. So I work with a number of angel groups in the Valley, as well as venture capital firms in Utah and outside of Utah. Anything else I should bring up? All right. Thanks for having me. Look forward to the discussion.
My name is Steve Taylor. I started making games professionally in 1995, so a while, but not as long as Jeff. So I worked at Sapphire for a long time, which was a game studio in Utah Valley. And in 2001, I founded Wahoo Studios. And so it's been 15 years of running Wahoo Studios. I've started a couple small little technically companies off and on in that time, but the big effort that I've made is Wahoo Studios. A few years into that, we created the brand Ninja Bee, we're a little bit better known for the name Ninja Bee. And so that's kind of my quick background. I started out as a programmer and went into producing and designing and running teams, and then eventually leading a studio. When John suggested that I be on this panel, I thought that was a crazy idea, and I'll tell you why. I started a company 15 years ago. I didn't start one today. I don't actually really know what I'm doing in terms of starting, in terms of running or being a startup or starting up. And I spend a lot of time worried about the things that I don't know about making games today or succeeding in business today in the game industry. So I actually told John I couldn't do it, and the only thing I could contribute was cynicism. And John said, yes, come do that. And I said, okay. So I'm here to be the cynic, not the cheerleader. I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't start a startup. No, not really. I can talk about game production, game development, making a game, and running a studio, and hopefully that will be useful, even if I don't know everything about starting up a studio, unless you want to try and travel back to 2001. So, yeah, that should be good.
I'm John Briggs with Insight Tax. We are a CPA firm. Insight means to cause to action. So as a firm, we try to help our clients take action instead of being passive about their tax and accounting needs, with the focus of helping them grow their wealth. When it comes to experience in the digital entertainment industry, I'm more like Stephen, the attorney. I don't have a crazy amount of experience. I've played hours and hours, probably years worth of video games. But I do have clients who are in this space, and so it's limited to helping them with their tax and accounting needs and consulting.
Hey everybody, my name is Clark Stacy. I'm the CEO of WildWorks, co-founded that in 2003. My claim to being up here, over the course of our growth, we've raised a little over $25 million in multiple rounds. I've also advised a lot of other game and ed tech startups in fundraising and putting their boards together and their advisors together. I started working with Jeff and John and the other committee members of UDEN and at the formation there because I really want to see more game companies here. I really want to see a dynamic employment ecosystem here. I think that raises all boats for all of us. I would love to see some amazing startups come out of Disney and come out of WildWorks and come out of I think that we have a real opportunity here right now. The hard part of starting a company is getting the team together. Getting the band together is the hard part, finding people that you gel with and work well with together. Funding, all the logistics, there's people up here that can help you with that stuff. But there's a lot of people here who've already done the hard part. And I would really hoping to see some great companies come out of that.
My name is Dan Might. So the Holodeck is something that I started with my younger brother about 2 years ago. And what we do is we do house startup companies and professionals throughout the day. You pay a monthly membership and you're able to come down here and make this your office space. It's got 15,000 square feet and fiber internet, and we expands all the way to the other side with reserve desks that have integrated power and landlines depending on what you need. So we try and build a community where you can come to work every day and bounce your ideas off people who are trying to do the same things. So happy to offer a free month of membership if anybody wants to just be able to work down here, to have a place to go bounce our ideas off other people, stuff like that. So just go ahead and see me after, and we can talk about that. In terms of what I can offer in terms of startup knowledge, I was one of the first original employees and general managers at Uber. So that's now a $70 billion company. I helped start their DC market, which is one of the 4th or 5th cities. I also started the Baltimore market, which is like the 9th or 10th city. So seeing a very fast and popular startup and how to scale that operation from the beginning to one that reached some pretty decent size before I came out here. Believe it or not, I left Uber and a lot of stock options to join the Army Reserve since it was something I always wanted to do. So, and be closer to family. So that took me from DC out to here. Got all that out of my system, joined the Army Reserve, so do my monthly duties. In fact, I'm leaving for 2 weeks for that. But also tied into a startup here called Homey. So we house ourselves in the back corner over there. I got my Homey shirt on. We just raised $4.5 million from Peter Thiel, who started PayPal with Elon Musk and was the original investor in Facebook. And we're trying to be an up-and-coming startup here. But basically what we're trying to do is take real estate agents out of the buying and selling side of residential transactions to save you tens of thousands of dollars. The good news about that is we have money and we are looking for engineers. So if you're also interested in working for a startup, come see me. So you can either work down here for free or you can get paid to work down here if you're with Homey. So just see me after and happy to talk to you.
I'm Josh Sutphin. I run a kind of a lifestyle business called Kickbomb Entertainment, and that's actually sort of more of my focus and some of the stuff that I'll talk about as we get into the questions tonight, which is less about starting up a company that's going to have, an entire team of employees and try to have like a lot of growth, and more about starting a company that stays small and sustainable as a way to do something that you love and keep doing it in perpetuity. Kickbomb Entertainment just launched our first game on Steam this past Tuesday. It's called Legacy of the Elder Star. You should all go buy it and make us very, very rich. The other thing that I do alongside of video game development is I'm a co-founder in the Utah Games Guild, which is an organization that has some similar goals to UDEN in the sense that we try to bring the local independent video game development community together. The major thing that you might, if you've heard of us at all, that you probably heard of us for is that we have organized indie video game showcases at some of the big cons in the state, like Salt Lake Comic Con and Salt Lake Gaming Con, which, of course, Gaming Con was just this past weekend, and we had 8 locally developed indie games there on the show floor. That's something we've been trying to do to really get a lot of our indies first to know that there is a community. I'm sure that there's probably at least a couple of you in this room that walked in and noticed there's like way more people here than you expected. That's the way the whole community is, and everybody that we meet, they're constantly surprised at how many game developers and indies and aspiring and everything really is in Utah. And people don't normally think of it as a big hub, but we know of probably over 200 active working indie game developers. That's not even counting the studios. And we're constantly finding more. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And I guess I'll volley back to Jeff.